DD India.
Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Mark Lynn. Namaskar. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Prime Minister addresses the Bharat Mobility Global Expo 2024 and says that India's mobility sector will play a key role in making India a developed country by 2047. The United States hints at hitting Iranian-backed Houthis with increased intensity after Jordan attack. The Indian Air Force will conduct the mega exercise Vayu Shakti 2024 in Jaisalmer in Rajasthan on the 17th of February. Over 130 planes, including 77 fighter jets, are taking part in the mega exercise. And Yashasvi Jaiswal's majestic unbeaten 179 powers India to 336 for 6 on day one of the second test against England at Visakhapatnam. Addressing Bharat Mobility Global Expo 2024 at Bharat Mandapam in New Delhi today, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that India's mobility sector will play a crucial role in taking India to the level of a developed country by 2047. The Prime Minister also exuberated confidence at, on his third term.
मेरी पहली टर्म थी, उस समय मैंने एक ग्लोबल लेवल की मोबिलिटी कॉन्फ्रेंस प्लान की थी और उस समय की चीजें अगर आप निकाल के देखोगे तो बैटरी पर हमारा फोकस क्यों होना चाहिए, इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल की तरफ हमें कैसे जल्दी जाना चाहिए, इन सारे विषयों पर बहुत विस्तार से वो समिट हुआ था, ग्लोबल एक्सपर्ट्स आए थे। और आज मेरी दूसरी टर्म में मैं देख रहा हूं कि खासी मात्रा में प्रगति हो रही है और मुझे विश्वास है कि तीसरी टर्म में चलिए, समझदार को इशारा काफी होता है और आप लोग तो मोबिलिटी की दुनिया है तो ये इशारा देश में जल्दी से पहुंचेगा।
And Bharat Mobility Global Expo 2024 showcases India's capabilities across the entire mobility and automotive value chains. With over 800 exhibitors from more than 50 countries, the Expo highlights cutting-edge technologies, sustainable solutions and breakthroughs in mobility. The Expo features participation from over 28 vehicle manufacturers, about 1,000 brands from over 13 global markets are showcasing their complete range of products, technologies and services at this event. The United States on Thursday approved the sale of 31 MQ-9B armed drones to India at an estimated cost of US dollars 3.99 billion. The proposed mega drone deal was announced during Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Washington in June last year. Now, under this deal, India will get 31 high-altitude, long-endurance unmanned aerial vehicles, of which the Navy will get 15 Sea Guardian drones. The Army and the Indian Air Force will get 8 each of the land version, which is the Sky Guardian. The U.S. Defense Security Cooperation Agency in a statement said that the proposed sale would support the foreign policy and national security objectives of the United States. It will help to strengthen the U.S.-India strategic relationship and to improve the security of a major defense partner. India continues to be an important force for political stability, peace and economic progress in the Indo-Pacific and South Asian regions. That's what the U.S. State Department has said. And the spokesperson of the State Department, Matthew Miller, said that the drone deal offers significant potential to further advance strategic technology cooperation with India and military cooperation in the region.
So I'll say that generally the U.S. India defense partnership has seen significant growth over the past decade. This is a proposed sale that was announced during Prime Minister Modi's visit last year. We believe it offers significant potential to further advance strategic technology cooperation with India and military cooperation in the region. Of course, Congress plays, as you know, an important role in the U.S. arms transfer process. We routinely consult with members of Congress on the Foreign Affairs Committees before our formal notification so we can address questions that they might have. But I don't have any comment on when that formal notification might take place.
The U.S. has approved plans for a series of strikes on Iranian targets in Syria and Iraq. It comes after a drone attack killed 3 U.S. soldiers in Jordan, close to the Syrian border on Sunday. The U.S. blamed an Iranian-backed terrorist group for the attack. That group, the Islamic Resistance in Iraq, is believed to contain multiple militias that have been armed, funded and trained by Iran's Revolutionary Guard Force. Iran, meanwhile, has denied any role in the attack, which injured 41 other U.S. troops at the military base known as Tar 22. Meanwhile, the U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said on Thursday that this was a dangerous moment in West Asia, and the United States is working to avoid a wider conflict.
So this is a dangerous moment in the Middle East. We will continue to work to avoid a wider conflict in the region. But we will take all necessary actions to defend the United States, our interests, and our people. And we will respond when we choose, where we choose, and how we choose.
With President Joe Biden bearing witness, the remains of the 3 American troops killed in a drone attack in Jordan will arrive in the United States on Friday. Biden and the First Lady, Jill Biden, will meet the family members of the fallen soldiers at the Dover Air Force Base in Delaware. Earlier, the U.S. President said that he had made up his mind on how to respond to the attack that Washington has blamed on Iran-backed militia. Let's get you an update now on the Israel-Hamas conflict. Israel will shift the focus of its operations to Gaza's Rafah city after claiming to have dismantled Hamas units in Khan Yunis. Rafah is located near the Egyptian border, and the development comes as Qatari and Egyptian mediators hope to make a positive impact on Hamas to a fresh proposal for an extended halt in the fighting agreed with Israel and the U.S. at talks in Paris last week. The proposal also calls for the release of hostages. Meanwhile, Israel's Defense Minister Yoav Gallant said that the country's troops have killed 10,000 terrorists in Gaza since the start of the conflict with Hamas.
To continue, not to stop it, requires national resilience and determination, and we must preserve until we complete our missions. And it is more difficult for Hamas. Believe me, they don't have weapons, they don't have ammunition. They have 10,000 eliminated terrorists and another 10,000 terrorists who are wounded and not functioning. This is a serious blow that erodes their abilities.
The Syrian military says that it downed a number of Israeli missiles launched from the Golan Heights that were targeting South Damascus on Friday. Reports of an explosion in the vicinity of Damascus circulated earlier overnight. There was no immediate comment from the Israeli military. Israel has for years carried out attacks on what it has described as Iran-linked targets in Syria, where Tehran's influence has grown since it began supporting President Bashar al-Assad in a civil war that started in 2011. Since the October 7 attack on Israel by Palestinian terror group Hamas from Gaza, Israel has escalated its strikes on Iranian-backed militia targets in Syria and has also struck Syrian army air defenses and some Syrian forces. The United Kingdom may officially acknowledge a Palestinian state following a Gaza ceasefire even before the resolution of potential talks between Israel and the Palestinians on a two-state solution. During his visit to Lebanon, the UK Foreign Secretary David Cameron stated that recognition won't occur while Hamas controls Gaza, but it could happen during ongoing Israeli negotiations with Palestinian leaders. Boosting trade and regional security in the Indo-Pacific region will be at the top of the agenda when European and Asian leaders meet on Friday. The EU's top diplomat will host foreign ministers of the ASEAN grouping, as well as from the Pacific Islands in two separate meetings. Ishan Garg reports from Brussels.
Hosting such a large delegation from Asia is a rare occurrence in Brussels. European Union officials say hosting the ASEAN and the Pacific Island nations at the same time shows the bloc's commitment towards the Indo-Pacific region. Leaders from the east coast of Africa to the Pacific Islands are expected to attend the EU Indo-Pacific ministerial meeting, while the EU-ASEAN summit will include the foreign ministers of Brunei, Myanmar, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand and Vietnam. EU officials say they believe the Asian century has begun, and engaging with players in the Indo-Pacific region has become crucial for trade and defense purposes. The EU and ASEAN have been trying to get a free trade agreement over the line for the past decade. Analysts say both blocs are looking to reduce their dependence on the Chinese economy and could now be closer to a deal finally. Officials say the bulk of the conversation between EU officials and leaders from ASEAN and the Indo-Pacific is going to focus on growing trade and investment in the region. The leaders will also assess common security issues. Those could include China's alleged aggression in the South China Sea and political tensions in Taiwan. EU officials told us that the bloc is hoping to pitch itself as a reliable defense partner with no hidden agendas. The meetings are also likely to focus extensively on climate change and transitioning to green energy. Pacific Islands and some of the ASEAN nations are among the countries likely to be most impacted by climate change, and Europe says it has the experience and technical expertise which can help these countries prepare better. Ishan Garg in Brussels, reporting for DD India.
A huge gas blast in the Kenyan capital Nairobi has killed at least 3 people and injured nearly 300. According to officials, a lorry carrying gas exploded in Embakasi district, igniting a huge ball of fire. Residents in a nearby building screamed as a column of flame shot hundreds of feet into the air just before midnight. The government has confirmed that 3 people had died in the explosion at a gas refilling plant, and 280 are being treated at hospitals around Nairobi. The Kenyan Red Cross said others are being treated at a triage point. Still to come here on DD India Live. Farmers' protest spreads across the whole of Europe, and demonstrations reflect common issues. North Korea fires multiple cruise missiles off its west coast. And the Indian Air Force will conduct a mega exercise Vayu Shakti 2024 in Jaisalmer, Rajasthan on the 17th of this month.
Why is the world preparing for a second Trump presidency? I connect the dots to get you the full picture. Watch Connecting the Dots every Friday at 8 p.m. IST on DD.
You're watching DD India Live. My name is Mark Lin. India's interim budget 2024 was announced on Thursday, and some of the major announcements in the railway sector were made by the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, which included the building of 3 new railway corridors. DD India correspondent Dibendra Mondal spoke to the Railway Minister Ashwini Vaishnav. Let's listen.
The interim budget for 2024 was presented by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. And of course, this time around, we have seen a significant announcement in the railway sector as well. And to talk more on this, I'm joined by Union Railway Minister Ashwini Vaishnav. Welcome to Doordarshan, sir. Let me begin by asking you, in fact, this is an interim budget, but despite that, how do you look at the allocation for the railways in the finance budget?
The last 10 years have been total transformation of railways. Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji has put huge emphasis on railway transformation. If you would recall 10 years back, if you go to a railway station, you would have to pinch your nose. That was the problem, that was the condition of railway stations, and trains were in very bad shape. Last 10 years, huge focus has happened on safety, huge focus has happened on increasing capacity. 26,000 kilometers of new tracks have been added. Last year, 5,200 kilometers tracks were added. That is like adding one Switzerland to the Indian railway network. This year, 5,500 kilometers of new tracks are being added, adding one more Switzerland. In the current budget, 40,000 kilometers contained in 3 corridor programs have been announced. So that will be like adding one Germany to the Indian railway network. Capacity is required because our country is today growing at 6 to 8% consistently. We are carrying about 700 crore people today. We need to carry about 1,000 crore by 2030. We are taking about 1,500 million tons. We need to transport 3,000 million tons. So Prime Minister's focus on increasing capacity, getting new technology, focus on safety, all these things have given very good results. Today's budget also once again puts emphasis on these.
Right. So also 3 new corridors were spoken about in the budget. What these corridors would be, what would be the timeline for completion of these projects? If you could throw some light on it for our viewers.
A very scientific study has been done by putting all the origins of cargo and origins of passenger travel and plotting the destinations of cargo and destinations of passenger travel on the PM Gati Shakti portal, and then studying the demand and supply and capacity of various sectors. A very comprehensive program has been created. This program is in 3 corridor programs, and these 3 corridor programs will add about 40,000 kilometers to Indian Railways. This is going to be a project over 6 to 8 years. A lot of work has happened, and in the coming months and years, we'll see huge expansion of Indian Railways.
Okay. Another significant announcement in the budget was about the 40,000 bogies that will be converted into Vande Bharat. What is the roadmap for it? Are the existing trains going to be changed, or are you going to bring in, what is that, if you could explain what that would be?
See, we are manufacturing new coaches. We are also having about 40,000 coaches which have a lot of residual life. We also have the experience of Vande Bharat and Amrit Bharat trains by now. So basis this experience, how can we upgrade the existing coaches so that we can give better service to the passengers? For example, the coupler technology between 2 coaches, that is of 1970s vintage. Can that be upgraded to latest technology so that the passenger comfort is improved? Toilets can be better. So much more effort is being put in to improve the passenger experience, because Prime Minister's point is railways basically caters to poor families and to middle income families. So very big focus he has always put on improving the railway.
Okay. So also the Kavach system is something that the government has been talking about, particularly this government. There have been some work done in this sector. By when can we see 100% coverage of Kavach across the railway network in India?
There is huge progress on Kavach. The system started in 2016. By 2019, the certifications were completed. And by now, we have completed. Kavach is a very complex system. It has multiple subsystems. The optical fiber for Kavach is now completed for 3,040 kilometers. 269 Kavach towers have been installed. 186 station Kavachs, which is a data center and edge compute system, that has been installed. 827 kilometers of trackside equipment has been installed. So a lot of progress is there. Many new manufacturers have started design work. So it's ramping up very fast.
Right. So my last question before we finish this is, we have seen marginal increase in the budget allocation for railways this time. Having said this, I once again say it's an interim budget, but the railways has a significant number of plans in terms of expansion, upgradation, etc. going on across the country. Do you think it is enough, or would be a
This is
revision?
very good. 2,52,000 crore is very big allocation. 10 years ago, this used to be 15,000 crore. So 2,52,000 crore is very good, and we must consistently invest this amount so that railway can grow at a very consistent pace.
Right. Thank you so much. As always, it's a pleasure talking to you, sir. And thank you for speaking to Doordarshan. Thank you.
Well, the farmers' protests across the whole of Europe, they've spread now to the entire continent. Traffic snarls have caused flowers to wilt and supermarkets to empty. Demonstrations have reflected the common issues across the continent. Shifting focus to the Asia-Pacific now, the North Koreans, they have fired multiple cruise missiles off the west coast on Friday. This marks the fourth time in just over a week that Pyongyang has launched such missiles off both coasts, and the South Korean military, they've said that the launch took place at around 2 a.m. GMT, but they did not provide any further details. North Korea has since last week, in fact, been testing lots of strategic missiles, cruise missiles, implying that they are designing, these could be designed for nuclear warheads. South Korea's military said that the North had appeared to be testing the missiles to upgrade their capabilities. The Indian Air Force will conduct a mega exercise, Vayu Shakti 2024, at the Pokhran range in Jaisalmer. This is going to happen on the 17th of this month. Over 130 aircrafts, including 77 fighter jets, they're going to be taking part in the mega Air Force exercise. The Indian Air Force will be showcasing its capability to carry out accurate bombing on targets in the exercise. The Vayu Shakti 2024 would be a major firepower demonstration over Jaisalmer, where all the major fighting aircraft, which would include the Rafale, the Su-30 MKIs, the LCA Tejas, the Mirage 2000, the MiG-29s, they're all showcasing their firepower by shooting different missiles and bombs at designated targets.
We plan to conduct this exercise, Vayu Shakti 2024, to showcase the full spectrum of operations that Indian aerospace power can take on, and it is going to be conducted in a near realistic scenario. What we are ensuring is that it is not only that we are giving practice and showcasing our equipment or the capability of the crew which is operating the equipment, but also we are showcasing how we can take on a task in a coordinated manner.
Opener Yashasvi Jaiswal produced an unbeaten 179 to steer India to a commanding 336 for 6 on day one of the second test against England at Vishakhapatnam on Friday. The 22-year-old smacked 5 sixes and 17 fours in his career-best knock, seeming unfazed by his batting partner's poor shot selection. Ravichandran Ashwin was keeping Jaiswal company on 5 when stumps were drawn. On a day when India's other frontline batters frittered away their good chances, Jaiswal batted aggressively without being reckless. Rohit Sharma's decision to bat first left England with the daunting task of batting fourth on a wicket which promises runs on the first couple of days before the spinners start dictating terms. England lead the series 1-0. That's all we have in this edition of DD India Live. Let's know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. My name is Mark Lynn. From all of us here, thanks very much for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.